I turned on my mic. I didn't know my mic was not on. So I was just asking, can you hear me? Can you hear me? I thought it was a network issue. All right, I'm back now. And I heard about concatenation and interpolation. So Nelson has done justice to that question. That's how in concatenation works. You just simply add strings together. For example, I could just say console of log. This is okay, I can just say let name equal to a string and say Henry. I'm just putting this in brackets so that you can see what is how it can be used in actual code. He has explained it properly. So I can just say my name is name. I'm going to change that variable name to my name instead of name. So I'm just going to say my name. Sorry, my name. Then I'm going to change this particular one back to name. So my name is my name. But instead of it to just say my name is my name, it said my name is Henry. And Henry, can you hear that? And then we can see, I don't know who asked the question, sorry. And then we can see my name is Henry. Is and Henry is joined together here. So this is one issue we usually have with concatenation is space. You should try to put a space before adding a variable name. So you just put a space right here inside this quote, and then boom, you have your space between my name and Henry. So if I were to achieve this same thing using concatenation, I would say console.log. Remember, I only called my name here. I only invoked it because it is the name of a variable. It is the name of a variable. You can add variables and with other strings, and you can add other strings with other strings. But it will not make sense if I were adding another string here when I could have easily written it inside of here. Sorry about that. So that's it about that. And then if I'm going to do interpolation, I will use backticks and then I will say my name is. Then when I'm about to invoke a variable, I use a $ and then curly braces. Then inside of there, I'll write the name of the variable and then it will output the exact same thing. Is there any other question pertaining this or is it understood? All right. I do hope there's no other question about that. I think I've started recording already. Let me see. Let's ensure the recording is working. Okay, that's it. Yeah, it is. It is working. Okay. So now to today's actual class. Oh, assignment first. Sorry. All right. Let me. I don't think I have the assignments. Oh, somewhere you have a question. Please go ahead and unmute your mic.
Oh, please, can you recap on what you just did? I didn't get it perfectly. Thank you.
All right. Is there something specific you do not get, or should I just go from the top?
Please, you can go from the top. Thank you.
All right. So I'm going to remove this so as not to confuse you. Now, this is a simple variable declaration. My name is Henry. It's as simple as that. It's like saying to JavaScript, whenever anyone mentions this my name, this variable, it should give me the value that is right here. So then I'm saying console of log. My name is, this is a string on its own. But then we want to concatenate this value with it, which means whatever we change here, your name is Samuel, so I'm going to type Samuel in here. So if I type Samuel in here, sorry about that. If I type somewhere in here, it's going to say my name is, then whatever the value of my name is going to show up here. Can you see this in the console, Samuel?
Yes, I can.
So is concatenation understood, or should I go on concatenation again? Or should I go to interpolation now? Okay, so okay, I didn't hear you. I did not hear any answer from you, Samuel.
Okay. Basically, I was not around in the last class though, but
Oh,
let me see if I can catch up.
all right. If you can calmly listen to what we are doing in this class, there are a lot of things we have done in the last class that you did not do. So you would understand more if you watched both classes that have been uploaded. They have been uploaded, which means you can easily watch them later. So if you start watching today, you can watch all three chapters. By three, I mean including this one. So if you can calmly listen now, you'll be able to continue later. Let me explain how interpolation works now. So I'm going to say console.log. I'm doing exactly what is at the top using concatenation. So I'm going to say my name is, but then at that point, instead of adding a plus or anything, anytime we want to mention a variable name, we use the dollar sign and curly braces, and then we just write the variable name inside of it. So it is giving us the exact same output. I'm going to change my name back to Henry. So is it understood? Okay. So firstly, I will start with the assignment. I need to check somewhere to visit it and see what it is like. So the first thing we want to work on is assignment from last class. So like I previously mentioned, I don't know if you remember, if you remember, I said a comment is started with two lines, two forward slashes. Sorry, I said line by mistake. Two forward slashes, just to do two forward slashes. And can you see everything here has been commented out? And when you put something in a comment, it does not show in your code. It does not affect your code. Can someone please confirm they can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, yeah. So assignment. I'm just going to leave a comment here and say assignment. All right. So can someone please let me check? Okay. The first thing in the assignment, the basic thing is to learn ternary statements. Now, using ternary statements are pretty simple and straightforward. Really, they are like a short version of what do you call it, of if statement. So this is how it goes. We do something like okay, let's say let age equal to, I'm going to say 17 here, and then we'll say if, so if we're using if statement, this is what we do. If age is greater than or equal to 18, you don't just use greater than 18. Then you say you are eligible to vote. Sorry about that. The the asterisk is not supposed to be there. You are eligible to vote. Then we just go else. Then we use the same thing, but instead we say you are not eligible to vote this time. And when I save, this is going to be sent to the console and it says you are not eligible to vote. Ouch. Okay. So now if I were to copy this exact same thing and write it down in form of a ternary statement, I'm going to say age greater than equal to 18. I'm going to leave a question mark. Now, this is where we put the condition. Can you see that exact condition that is at the top? Is right here. If you can see, it's the exact same thing that has been written before right here. Age greater than equal to 18. Then I'll say console.log. Um, you are eligible to vote. So I'm just going to copy this one and paste it there. But we do not use colon. You will not use colon inside of there. Sorry about that. So I'm going to remove that semicolon. Yes. So now age is greater than or equal to 18. We console log that. Then else. So to write your else, you leave a colon, not a semicolon, a colon, and then just paste you are not eligible to vote. So you can press Alt and Z in order to let your code that you are writing wrap down. So wrap down to the next line. So I wrote you are eligible to vote twice. So I'm just going to change it here. You are not eligible to vote. It's going to do the exact same thing. Can we see you are not eligible to vote? Now, if I were to ask you, which would you prefer? An if statement or a ternary? It all depends on individuals, but a ternary statement is usually shorter. So these two blocks of code do exactly the same thing. Does anyone understand what I just did? So, anyways, I think this is number one of the assignment. I'm just going to leave one here. Okay. Then I'm going to leave another comment for two of the assignment. Let me check what number two is. Okay, number two says number sign. You have to check if a number is positive or negative. If a number is positive or negative. So here we can say I'm just going to say my number. Now, in this case, we can simply say you can simply use const throughout everything instead of let, because it's not changing, but you can leave it as it is. But as time goes on, we'll start using that const. We'll start using const more. So I said let number equal to -5. You use minus as you use it in other places too. So I'm going to say let my number equal to -5. Then I'm going to use something like this again. Now the assignment is to use both if statements and ternaries for each question. So I'm going to do this really fast. If age is less than 0, number, sorry, my number. If my number is less than 0, then we're just going to console log number is negative. I don't know if that is what I mentioned there, but this is basically the idea. Number is negative. Then else we'll say number is positive. Now, one thing you should know that is that a an if statement doesn't only have one line, one condition. Not after this else, you could have else if something else, and then you can continue like that and like that. There could be more than one result. And I showed a perfect example of that in the previous class. So you can watch that on the YouTube channel. So age is greater than 0, then you put a question mark. I'm pretty sure we'll get used to it by the time we get to number 5. Console.log. Then I'll say number is negative. So if it is less than 0, it is negative. Then else. It's also crucial to mention that a sorry, a ternary statement always has to end after the colon. If I do not add this colon and there is no else, it's going to give me an error. So unlike if statements that if you remove this else, nothing really happens, nothing at all. But an a ternary statement will always have an error regarding that. Now to the third question. To the third question. Let me open where I sent it so I can find it. The third question is about password length. Password length. So we're supposed to check if a password is long enough, right? He said if a password is at least 8 characters, we say strong password. Otherwise, we say password is too short. Now, simple. We go let password equal to, I'm going to leave a string of nonsensical characters here. Then I'm going to say, I don't know if that's up. That's definitely greater than 8 characters by now. So we'll say if password dot string dot length. Sorry, if password dot length is greater than 8. Length in a string, it gives us the exact number of characters that are inside of that string. Is greater than 8. Then we know that yes, our password is strong. Then else it isn't. So I'm going to say um strong password. So we just console.log strong password. Then else, sorry, else is supposed to be after the curly braces. Else we console.log. Can someone tell me that they understand so far what I've been doing? I just want to make sure that we are following along. Do we understand what I've been doing so far? I can't see the reactions that you guys are putting up. So maybe you can unmute your mic and say something. Sorry about that.
Please, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. So I was asking a question. Can ternary statements be used for multiple conditions?
Yes, ternary statements can be used for multiple conditions. Should I give a should I give an example of that right now? Maybe we use the grades that we did then and
Okay.
just give 3 conditions. So let me finish number 3 up and then we can do that. So right here now I would say if password, okay, I'm just going to say password dot length. This is where statements are quite limited, but they are they have good uses, a lot of uses, but they are also limited. They do not replace if statements. They are simply shorter and faster when you need something that is not heavy duty. When you need something that is just quick. So then I say I'll just console log this strong password, and then there will be an else password too short, and too short is supposed to be spelled T ho ho. Right. I'm going to paste that in there. So someone asked the question there. He said, can a ternary statement be used for more than one condition? Yes, they can. So I'm going to say const grade, sorry, score. Your score determines your grade. Score equal to 90. Then I'm going to say const grade. You know what? I'm going to make that score a little lower to, I don't know, 63. All right. So const, okay, sorry. Grade is greater than or equal to 70. Then we'll have console.log grade is A. So we say else, right? That's the colon. And then if, so then you can continue with another statement. The entire else can be another if statement. I mean, can be an entire ternary statement on its own, starting all over again in this manner. Else grade greater than or equal to 60, then we console.log grade B. So I'm just going to put a last else here. Else, I can just say console of log. Oh, sorry, I'm not supposed to write an else. So I'm really sorry. I don't know. C to E. I'm just going to say something like that. So C to F. Yeah. So the person has scored something like that. But obviously this person is called B. It says grade is not, we're supposed to use score the entire time. We used grade. So I'm going to remove this score, and I'm going to remove it here too. Score. Good. And now it says grade B because the person scored 60. And we says anything that is greater than or equal to 60 will give us B, as far as it is not greater than or equal to 70. So does anyone have questions specifically about this or not? Because if you have questions, you can unmute your mic and ask now. I'm going to take it to the very top.
Okay, when checking for the password length in your ternary statement, you made use of dot length twice. What was the reason for that?
I used dot length twice. Let me see.
You
Number
said
three.
password dot length.
That is a mistake. I must have typed it twice. You only need to use it once. Thank you very much for that, Nelson.
Have you seen it?
Yes, I've seen it. I removed it already. It's just once. You need to do that.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. So let's proceed to number 4. I want to know what question is there. Or should I stop here so that you guys can finish the rest yourselves? Should I stop here or should I continue and leave the rest as a challenge? Because we still have something to do today. That's on loops, maths and loops. Yeah. Okay, since no one is saying anything, maybe I will just continue. Number 4. Okay. Um, here we want to check if a number is even or odd. If you have watched chapter 1, you would have seen me use the modulus operator. This is where modulus operator comes in once again. After I finish everything here, I want to explain one simple way in which you can do these things without having to go through all of this stress. But then again, we can only learn step by step. So I will show that it is not a cheat. It is not a cheat. It's just a simpler way to use variables to do things like this instead of going through lines of code. So after I get to number 5, I'll show that um, method on number 5 itself. Then you guys can apply it to others. I don't know how you are going to do that. So number 4, even or odd. So I'm going to say let number. There are so many numbers right now. Let number equal to 4. That's 5. Sorry. Let number equal to 5. And I'm going to say if number divided by divide. I said divided by. You use that percentage sign. So number divided by 2, remainder equal to 0. So you might be confused a bit about this, but if you have watched that chapter, you would not be confused at all. Simply because this modulus operator, it divides it divides by whatever you are dividing here, and then it checks the remainder. So if we were to pick this 5 and then divide it by 2, we will have a remainder of 1, which means the remainder is not 0. But if it were 4 or 8 or anything, the remainder would always be 0 after being divided by 2. So this is how we check if a number is even. We divide it by 2 and check if the remainder is 0. Hence, we use the modulus operator. That's the percentage sign. We use it to divide and then see if the answer returns 0, because it always returns the remainder. The remainder. So, does anyone understand how I explained that, or should I go over it again? So if it is not like that, we just know that yeah, if it is not even, it is odd. Okay, I was going to say false. So we just say number is odd. It says there is a syntax error. Okay, I added curly braces inside of there, and they are not needed. Just your parentheses are enough. So it says number is odd, and that's pretty simple. So on the fourth one still, we'll have to use ternary statement for that exact thing also. So I will say number divided by 2. Remember, that's how we do it. We do the condition first. Number divided by 2 equal to 0. This equal to is the strict equal to, remember. That's if you have watched that one. And then we just console.log. Number is even. So else number is odd. Can someone please confirm that they are listening and they understand what's going on here? Anyone? I feel like it's supposed to be a more interactive class. I can't really hear any feedback. Anyways, I'll move on to the fifth one.
Sorry. Okay, I mean,
Okay.
I think
So if I get what you are doing correctly, you set number to be 5, and then
Yes.
please can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, so you set number to 5, and you use and you're finding the modulus of 2. That is how many 2's can go into 5, and the remainder that we have. Does that mean that the value that we're to get from number modulus 2 is supposed to be 1?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, and so the condition that we have here is testing if the modulus of 2 is going to is going to be exactly equal to 0. And if
Yes.
it's not exactly equal to 0, it's giving us a console.log that number is even.
No,
Okay,
it-
so it's
equal to
actually
0.
clear now.
It's clear now.
Yeah, it's clear. It basically just tells us that, okay, yes, if you divide 5 by 2, the remainder is not going to be 0. That's why it's as putting number is odd.
Exactly. Exactly. So someone wanted to say something else. I could hear another voice in the background before. Please ask your question. Somebody wanted to ask a question. I remember hearing your voice in the background.
Okay, so like I want to ask another question. Where can
Where can what? I
this
can't.
particular thing be applied? Where can we apply it?
Where, what can I apply this
Where can
exactly?
this conditional statement you just did be applied?
You mean regarding modulus or statements or conditional statements in general?
Yes, like what we can use it for.
Yeah, you still didn't answer my question. I'm asking, do you mean conditional statements in general or modulus itself?
Modulus.
Oh, modulus itself. Well, there are some systems that basically only work on math, that they want to check, okay, somebody imputed this thing for us. Maybe it's some kind of code or something. And we know that, okay, our code is always divided by the number 77. And then you're like, okay, if number divided by 77 is 0, if the modulus of the number they are sending by 77 is 0, then they can be allowed to enter, or maybe that particular thing they are doing is true or false. So there are different ways to use this, and it's most used, sorry, is in math, if we are talking about modulus, of course. But if we are talking about um conditional statements in general, they are used in a lot of logic, even on the back end, in places whereby a user has entered a password and then you want to check if this password is equal to what we have saved for them in the database. We use logical statements like that in the backend or stuff like that. I don't know if that's clear.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Thank you very much. So I want to move on to the last one, which is I think we're supposed to use an is logged in status, Abby. So we're supposed to have a value, a value, a value that's supposed to, sorry about the noise in the background, neighbors. Okay. We're supposed to have a boolean, and then we're supposed to console log user is logged in or user is not logged in using that boolean. So I'm going to initialize something now. I'll say let is logged in is logged in. These are how we do things in a real system actually. Although we don't just say it is equal to false or anything. So let is logged in equal to false. And then we'll say if is logged in. Now in this case you can ask if is logged in equal to true. But in booleans, we can just ask if it exists. If it is not true, it will say it is not true in this case. So if it's logged in, we can say console.log is logged in. Now you can do it as I did before, but this is just shorter and more logical. And we're working on logical statements. So we can just say user is logged in. I'll explain how we are leaving it as this once again is logged in. Then I'll say else user is not logged in. I'm just going to copy that and then add the else there and then add not right there. User is not logged in. So it says user is not logged in. Why? Because is logged in is false. So here now we're basically checking. Is it true? That's why we're checking if is logged in. If the person is logged in, then so if I change this to true now, it's going to say user is logged in. Why? Because it is true. But if this were maybe a number or a string, it would still say user is logged in. So if you want to use a condition like this, always always make sure you are checking in a different way. For example, now when we check the password length, we didn't just check if the password existed. If you can just say if password, yeah, then that would mean if the password existed. But yeah, we're just checking. Is login true? If I change login to a string now, like an empty string, it's going to say false. Because at that point it exists, but it does not have a real value. It has a falsy value. You can look it up. I'll spell it here. Truthy and falsy. Truthy and falsy in JavaScript. You can write this down. I'll ask this in the next class. Truthy and falsy. Ask of those. Search up those values. Look them up. So I'll go back and then change this to a string with one space in front of it. It will say it is true. User is logged in. So you have to be careful. This is a truthy value at this point. So you have to be careful how you use things like this. So I'm just going to return it to false. Ensure it is Boolean before you can use a check like this. So someone was asking me, someone raised a hand or did an emoji. I can't see. Okay, let me check here. I don't know.
Okay, I was the one.
Okay.
I was the one that did that. If I get it correctly, I think your else you used the colon, right? So I want to ask if writing else is necessary. You can continually use the colon to mutate the else instead of typing else.
When are you talking about if statements or ternary statements?
I'm not really fully sure. Though the thing I observed was the else. So I was thinking you are going to use the column as the else in this the last one, but you type the s.
All right. If I use the keyword if, then you can use the keyword else. If I start with the condition like this at the top here, then this is a ternary statement. If I start with the word if, it is an if statement. This is a ternary statement. Those one line statements you are seeing, they are ternary statements. As you can see, this is a copy of everything here up to here, just in a different syntax. So this is a ternary, this is an if statement. So here I'm using the else because this is an if statement. If else statement. Do you understand? Do you get that? Okay, I don't get any answer, so I'm just going to continue with ternary statement in this case. So I'm going to say is logged in, or you can say is logged in equal to true, but this is the way I'm doing it. Then with console.log, user is logged in. We are going to remove that colon, semicolon, sorry. Else, we'll do the same thing. User is not logged in. This one is pretty straightforward. So I know there are a lot of us that do not understand because we were not in some classes. So if you want to understand better, please watch other videos and then you can come back to this one. And I assure you it will be very clear by the time you do that. So now let's try to do what we're supposed to do in this class. We have used a lot of time on the assignments. All right. So okay, let me create another file instead. I think that's better. So right here, I'm going to remove this, and then I'm going to copy it down first, and then remove one of them, and then the other one is just going to be um let me say lesson 3 I'm just going to say, let me just make it index instead, index.js. Now it does not exist, and that's why we can see the error here. So I'm just going to create index.js, and then the error is going to disappear immediately. So today we're talking about the math object, and you are wondering why it is called an object. Well, you will understand more on it later, but for now, this is what you get. So the math object, and we'll talk about loops. Loops. So math objects first. In JavaScript, the math object is an inbuilt function for JavaScript. It is inbuilt. JavaScript comes with it. It is inbuilt with JavaScript, the math object. Yeah. The math object is inbuilt. It's an inbuilt function in JavaScript that can perform a lot of arithmetic function without any type of stress. Not just arithmetic, quite a lot of functions. Now, okay, before I actually start this one, is there anyone that has a question on what we have done here so far? Anyone? Or can I continue? Okay. So I guess that means I should continue. So without any questions, I'll just continue. Okay, there are messages here. Okay, please, if you have questions, ask. If you have questions, ask. All right, I'm back here. Anyways, so in my index.js now, I said math object has a lot inbuilt with it. It came with it. So the first one is math.py. Pi, capital letter pi. Can we see it here? It's showing it right in the console here. This is the value of pi. So if you were calculating something or doing anything, or you were maybe creating a calculator, I don't know, you would always be able to use pi. Now the next one, please, if you don't understand, let me know immediately. Unmute your mic and ask. Console of log square root. The next one is square root. SQRT. There is a lot though. I'm just teaching you the sorry. I'm supposed to say math dot square root. I'm just teaching the basic ones. Math dot square root. So you are going to input one data there, a number. So I'm just going to say 16. What's the square root of 16? 4. That's it there. I can say what's the square root of 9? That should be 3. Yeah, 3. You can see it in the console right there. So then I could go back and say square root of 10. That would be 3 point something. It will even give you your answer in decimals, which is pretty cool. So um, let me go back to 16. You have a question? Okay, I can see there is no question. All right, I'll just continue. The next one is power. Power. POW. That's how we do it. You just say math.pow. POW. So this one takes two arguments. Or should I say, yeah, it takes two arguments. Math. Remember the math starts with a capital letter. So power. POW. So I can just say 4, then 3. This is 4 to the power of 3. That's 4 times 4 times 4. That should be 64, I think. Yes, we have it here in the console, 64. That's how power works. It's pretty simple. You can change it to, I don't know, 5. I think that's 1 to 5 or something. Yes, 5 times 5 times 5, 1 to 5. And then the next one is max. Well, this one is pretty straightforward. You add a bunch of numbers in there, math dot max. Then I'm like, okay, okay, you can add a bunch of values actually, and then it's just going to return the highest number in the console. Same with mean. I'm going to copy that down and just change the word max to mean, and then it return the lowest value there, which is 2. Now we have math.round. This one will round it. It will round it normally. The way we round it will either round up or round down, depending on the way it is. So I'm going to say max.round 3.4. That should be 3.0. And then if I said 3.5, that will be 4.0. That will be 4. So it's going to round it either up or down. It's going to round it normally. Then we have the next one that rounds down all of the time. It rounds down all of the time. That's math.floor. Floor. So let's say 3.7 is going to give us 3. It always rounds down. Always rounds down. Is there anyone that does not understand this? Because this is kind of a headache mathematically. But just know it always rounds down. With the word floor, it rounds to the floor. Then the other one is ceiling. CEIL. It always rounds up. Even if this were 3.1, it will take it up to 4. It took it up to 4 because if it's any little bit bigger than 3, it's going to 4. If this one is, no matter how big it is, it always takes it down to the whole number. brings it down to the nearest whole number, not up. It does not round it, it rounds it down. Next one is random. Random. Now, this one generates a random number between 0 and 1. So I'm going to say mark dot random. But this one is the function. You call it, you put two brackets in front of them. You understand how functions work later. This is 0.8. If I refresh or just save here, Ctrl S, it will change that value again. Now, as you can see, this is a number between 0 and 1, which means the highest it will be able to generate is 0.99999999999, whatever. That's the highest it can generate. Now, if I were to multiply this by 10, let's say I want to generate a number between 10 and 1, it will still not give me what I want. I'll be having 9 point something. Can we see that? I'm having 9 point something. But if I truly want it to be between 1 and 10, I'll add 1 to it, and then I'll have that. And then I would have that. That's 10 point something. Okay, that's higher than 10. All right. Now, you can see that that's higher than 10, but we have 10 point something, something, something. And can someone tell me what will make that 10 points, anything, no matter how high it is? I want someone to tell me what will turn it back into 10. So we have 10.99999 or whatever. How do we make it come back to 10? We have all of these functions here, all of these methods here. We have dot round, dot floor, dot seal. Obviously, it's one of these three because those are the three that round numbers. So which one is going to round it to, which one is going to round 10.9 back to 10? Please unmute your mic and tell us what the answer is if you know it.
This is
That's
round
the
dot
floor.
floor.
Dot floor. Thank you very much. You are right. Dot floor is going to take it down to the nearest number. It's always going to take it down. And now this is how randomness works in an app or anywhere. So this is between 0 and 1, right? Let me put a comment here. 0 to 1. So if you want to ask a question, please unmute your mic. I can't always go there to check who is doing that. It's going to waste too much of our time. Console.log mark.random. We have used quite a lot of time here. Times 10. Now, times 10 here, the highest we would still get. Let me see. Let's do the potential highest that we'll have in both of them. 0.999, right? 0.9999999 times 10. The highest we get is 10. Oh, it's rounding it up. JavaScript has problems with floats. We get 9.999. That's the highest we get, 9.999, which is still not 10. So we want to add 1 to it. But in that case, we'll have 10.999. Then we want to get it back to 10, which means we want to make sure that the highest we will have is 10. So then we will now put everything we have done before. I just cut it out. We'll put it inside of mark.floor, which means this, let me highlight it so that you can see. This has the potential of generating at most 10.99999. But then max.floor will take it down to 10. So which means everything here has the potential of generating at most 10. But it will also not generate 0 point anything again because we're adding 1 to it. So this is between 1 and 10. Do you understand this? This is 7, and it's always going to be a whole number. It's always going to be a whole number. A whole number. It's never going to be a digit. It's never going to be a float. By float, I mean a decimal. So if I keep saving, you'll be seeing 1, 3, 7, 6, 10, 3, 8, and so on. Do we understand, please? Is there any question regarding this? I
Okay.
know it can be a headache. Okay.
Yeah, the question. So we
Okay.
have math.random, and you said the math.random is going to give us a number between 0 to 10. So
0 to 1. Math or random generates a number between 0
but
to
I
1.
don't see anything in the code specifying that that number is supposed to be from that 0 to 10 or 1 to 10.
Yes,
0 to 1. I don't see anything specifying that in the code. So is it like
it is
a
default.
default
Yes,
something?
it is default. You don't need to input anything there. It just gives that a random number between 0 and 1. Look at this. Returns a pseudo random number between 0 and 1. That's what VS Code says about math.random. You don't see anything to it.
Okay,
It just does that.
okay. So it's just 0 and 1 that it can always return if we are not adding any, if we are not concatenating with any other thing.
Yeah, if you're not multiplying or adding, it always returns a random number between 0 and 1. Now, if you were doing something like a game of rock, paper, scissors or something, and then you are like, okay, the computer has to pick between rock, paper, or scissors. That has to be very random in order not to cheat the users. So we'll then be turning this into 3. And then we'll say if it is equal to 1, choose. If the computer chose 1, choose rock. If the computer chose 2, if this is equal to 2, choose paper. If this is equal to 3, choose scissors. That's what the computer is choosing. So as we have 2 here now, at that point, that would mean the computer is choosing paper. If I save again, sorry, if I save again, that would mean the computer is choosing scissors. So I'm just going to return it back to 10. Sorry, 10. Yeah. So that's a random number between 1 to 10. I do hope we understand that. So, a question. We have about a few minutes to go in the lesson. Should we go on and do loops, or should that be sent as a pre-class material for the next class? It's something we can do now, or we could send it in later, which would be uploaded. The pre-class material will just be a continuation from this point.
Yes, please. That's better.
What did you say? Next, you said a pre-class material or class or now. Please, I didn't get you just said yes. That's not specific.
A pre-class material.
Okay. Does anyone second that? Anybody else with an opinion, please, so that we can know what to do now. All right. As no one else is saying anything, I guess I'm going to have to stop here. And now, this is where we ask questions. If you don't ask me questions, I'll ask questions. Though. So anyone that has a question now, let me know. I'll show both of the codes on the screen. Let me make the screen big enough. Then you can see both of them. Both of them are on the screen now. So if there is anything you do not understand, please inform me now, or I will ask my question. Can we see my screen now?
Yes, we can.
All right.
I'm not
So
seeing it yet though. Maybe I'm from my side.
can you now? Because I can. All right. So I'll just continue. Let me go back a few steps so that I do not confuse anyone. Now, what I said here is we're just going to say let result, which means yeah, result is undefined. It does not have any value. So here we want to say if we have confirmed that is logged in is true, we will just say results equal to that. And then yet, if it is not, we'll say result equal to that, which means result would only be equal to one thing. Result would only be equal to one thing. Sorry, equal to that. I'm going to remove those braces. You know what? Those parentheses. Yeah, I'm going to remove them, and we can see that now. So we can't see anything in the console. I'll just go to the HTML and adjust that like right now. Now at the end here, we are not logging anything to the console, nothing at all. So here we just want to console.log result, which means what we are doing is we are ensuring that nothing is logged. Well, ensuring that is logged in. Is we're ensuring that the um user is logged in, and then we're reassigning results to something. Now this looks like it's longer, but then it's going to look like it's even shorter when you start using when we use it here at the bottom here. The reason I'm saying this is shorter is because you do not call console.log so many times inside of here. You just come to the bottom here and say, okay, I want to log whatever the result is after here. So you're like, this is result, nothing at this point. Whatever result chooses around here, that's what will be logged here. So let's go to HTML and remove that and adjust and show that in the console. So let's see. I think both of them will be shown. Yeah, you can have two scripts and it will show both of them. So I think this is about user is not logged in. User is not logged in. Yes, it's showing both of them. Remember, we did two of those. Two of those. So if I'm going to do it here now, ternary statements, one thing I did not tell you about them is a variable can be equal to a ternary statement. Here's what I mean. We're going to use this same result since it can be reassigned. I'm going to say const result equal to. Now, yeah, I'm going to remove console.log in both of them. I'm going to press Ctrl D to remove it from both of them. Okay, and I'll save. So okay, you don't have to use const again. You just have to say result equal to that. Now, then you just console.log result. This is where it becomes very easy. Why did I say it's very easy? Let me explain this line of code. After I explain this, then I'll give room for anyone that does not understand that. Result equal to, is it logged in? Is the user logged in? This is what the result will be equal to. If the user is not logged in, this is what result would be equal to. And then we just log results right after that. So you could just scroll up a bit, you'll find it there. User is not logged in. Line 70. Line 70. So questions. Do you have any question particularly about what I just explained? Nobody? Well, if there are no questions, I guess there's nothing else for me to do at this point. Okay, let me ask a question. What does the modulus sign do? Anybody? Modulus. What does the modulus sign do? The modulus operator. What does the modulus operator do? I need a reply from someone. What does the modulus operator do? Modulus operator, anyone? I mean, we did not answer any questions. So we did not ask any questions. Sorry, we should at least be able to answer. What does the modulus operator do? Okay, no one. I guess this one
It
will
gives
be like, okay, thank you.
it doesn't and I want to.
I can hear you, please.
It gives the remainder of a division now. So like that 5 divided by 2, that remainder will
Ex-
be
exactly. Thank you
remainder
very
9.
much. I really appreciate that. All right. I guess we have really been following then. What's the difference between a ternary statement and an if statement? Difference between a ternary statement and an if statement. Okay, I'm going to explain that. The simple difference between an if statement and a ternary statement is the syntax. Syntax means how we write the code. They mostly do the same thing most of the time. Now, I'm saying most of the time because you can write multiple lines inside of here. You could write another line in here, another line of code. But in a ternary statement, you cannot. You can only write one line after each condition. You can only write one line here, one line here. You cannot continue to write another line here. So that's one of the differences. There are a lot of differences. I'm going to leave you to figure that out. So if anyone does not have a question, can I end my session here and now? Okay. I guess since no one has any question, I'm ending my recording. So